Engaging.
Joyful.
Schön.
Challenging.
Daring.
Playful.
Funny.
I would say clever.
Lustig und
and
stimulating, I think. For the kids, I think definitely. And even for the adults that are coming to the festival.
The concept behind live art for kids or live art for Børn is to show new and exciting live art works for kids, works that rarely has been shown for kids in Denmark or elsewhere. And the concept is also that through the kids we attract a new audience, the parents, and we can actually make sure that the parents and kids go home and have a good experience together. The adults have seen something the kids haven't, but the kids have seen a lot also that the parents didn't grasp. So we are really putting in, helping them making good discussion when they come home.
I'm dressed as a kind of, I guess, a businessman, maybe. And I welcome people at the main entrance to the festival, and I say to them in Danish, don't ask me to repeat it because I'm just learning. I welcome them and I say I will keep welcoming them until they push me over. Så jeg siger welcome til du er skommet mig væk. So I approach people. Some appear to think that I'm a Bible seller or something like that, and yeah, so it's quite interesting to see people change in their responses through that. There's a lot of talking with them, and so kids usually will really give me sometimes a really good push. Sometimes whole families of 5 or 6 people pushed me at once and pushed me over, and that was great. And yeah, I guess I justify it as, well, I'm a dad, and so maybe this is a chance for them to push over a dad. I would have liked it as a kid. I don't know. Go. And the other performance that Leena and I did today is a development of something we tried in New Zealand last February, where we're on 2 boards. They call them in this country hund, I understand, or dog. We call them dollies where I'm from, or boards with wheels, and they're much harder to move than skateboards. And children, in this case, families are invited to push us around and negotiate how they push us around. So, and in that one, it went for some time, but it was really interesting that the sense of negotiation there and the decisions that the children and families all took together in terms of resolving how they would move us around. Yeah, we did a little bit more. We also made sounds while we were being moved, depending on how we were being moved. And some of the kids were responding back to us with those sounds. And they took us to all sorts of places. On the program, we also said to them, try not to push us into the sea. So that was a kind of dare to see if they would do that. And yeah, didn't quite get there, but I think we got quite close. And it was interesting, the sense of being in the moment with each of those performances, and that the audience are not just audience, but they're participants, and they help to make it happen. I'm quite interested in kind of the psychology behind performance, how people kind of also are complicit to making performance happen. You know, in the theatre or in the gallery, we often just look at an object or a spectacle, and that's fine. And sure, we may be active viewers, yes, but in this case, what happens is the viewer kind of helps to sign the work contract. They become part of the labour of the performance, in a way. And also all the discussions that come from it during the performance between people, not just with me, but amongst each other. I'm really interested in how they come to doing what they're doing. Yeah, that fascinates me.
The topic of my performance is alphabets of performance art, and I made the performance because at some point I felt like I have been watching too much performance art. I was somehow overwhelmed by certain kind of repetition in materials and like objects, and maybe also actions that I've seen in performances. So I decided to take a closer look at that and see if there would be an alphabet, if I could sort of open up alphabet saying that this is why apples kept on repeating in performance art over decades and decades. So it is still a research about performance art as a language, maybe, or also performance art and its history. I made the piece as a research, and but when I started to make it, I also found the joy of doing it. Kind of all that why I got interested in performance art in the first place. All that came back to me, and I realized that there's so much in these quite everyday materials that I work with that is kind of endless, and that's why artists in performance art are working with similar materials and objects. But it's not made for children. It's made for anyone who's interested in performance art, or anyone who's maybe not even interested in performance art, but kind of is interested in everyday life and sort of the variety or the absurdness of everyday life. But I think I like the kind of the radicality of this piece for children especially, because these are things that they are not supposed to do. Kind of, they are not supposed to make mess or break things, but the adult does it, so they can mirror with that, but it's also kind of pedagogical piece. So people, adults and kids, they learn about performance art by watching it, because it's the alphabets. It's really the basic language, how I see the basic language of performance art.
Ich habe 4 Performances gesehen. Der ene var 50 farlige ting, som du skal lade dit barn gøre. Og det var egentlig 50 gefährliche Dinge, das dein Kind probieren muss. Dann habe ich ein Po-Performance gesehen, und der war richtig lustig. Dann habe ich ein Alphabet-Performance gesehen und der war auch richtig lustig. Am meisten gefallen hat mir der Performance mit diesen jüngeren Erwachsenen, wo sie darüber gesprochen hat, dass so jungen Mädchen darüber so Videos posten, wo sie daran fragten, ob sie hässlich oder schön waren.
Det er jo også meget fint, det der med, at vi kan skifte karakter. Det er ligesom sådan en halvdag i slutningen. Ja. Ja.
So the workshop is a t-shirt making workshop, but it's looking at identity, children's identity, but particularly thinking about gender identity. So when I see children's clothes in the shops, there's still this big split between what girls have and what boys have. And there's a lot of stereotypes just from these clothes and the messages that children are receiving. So sometimes I see a child and they have something written on their t-shirt, and maybe they don't know what it means, or or it's telling them something about how they should be in the world. And I think the workshop for me is trying to disrupt those ideas and trying to give children a chance to think about how they want to present themselves to the world. So in the workshop they get to make their own t-shirt with their own slogan and their own image, and it's a small thing, but for me it's a way for them to think about what they want in the world and how they want the world to see them, rather than just going along the strict stereotypes that someone else wants them to follow. So for me, I was interested in bringing the workshop to this festival because the festival is all about having a dialogue with children and treating them as collaborators and artists in their own right. And so to have the workshop, it means that we can have a very direct dialogue. The children have a chance to think about gender and identity and also to do something for themselves. So then they go away with a T-shirt that has their picture on it or their slogan. And then they feel like they have some control over how their identity is being created. And so for me, it fits with the festival because it's about this dialogue and asking children what they want rather than just telling them or thinking we know what's best for them.
There isn't much of a difference between performance art for kids and performance art for adults. Of course, there are things that you cannot show for kids, but kids have a much better fantasy and is much better in grasping and understanding performance art than most adults are.